Alright. Let's try to get the right angle. Hi. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to give a little grace period, give people time to tune in. I think there are a couple people that would like to make sure they don't miss anything. I also want to make sure you guys can see me. And now let me go into the group because I have to make sure that the group actually gets the live stream. Bear with me, I'm still getting with the technology. So Kendra, Jean, hello, Manisha, Monique, hi. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me okay? My sister, I'm wearing your favorite color for you. Thanks for the motivation. Can you hear me okay? And am I sideways like I was yesterday? Okay, you can hear me, good. Hey, September. All right, now let me make sure I do the mirror effect so that when I show you guys documents, you'll be able to read. Let's see, hold on. No, I think I need to do this. Hold on one second. Loud and clear, good, all right. Okay, hold on one second. I just gotta get my effects together and give people a little more time to get here. Hold on, I need bigger writing. These letters are too small. Does this show up? Can you see this? No, that's too bright. Let's see. Let me move this light. Do you see the mirror effect of this? Yeah, that's backwards. Hold on one second. Okay. Wait. Okay. I don't see the option to turn it around like I did. Nope, that's not it. Okay. For some reason, I cannot figure that out. And I just figured it out last night, but I don't see the same options. Now let me go over to this other end and make sure that I'm live also in the group. Let's see. Okay. Where is the live? Okay, I'm having problems with the group. Right now, everyone is fine on my personal page. You can see me, but on the group page, which I want to make sure. There it is, live video. Okay. There we go. Okay. Go live. Put minimize taxable income. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I wanted to give other people time to get into the group. Now is the time. A lot of people are settling down after work, putting kids to bed, getting themselves together. So let's see. Go live. Okay. Hello. All right, now I'm in both groups. Let me make sure that I can see that it won't be weird the way I have to do it. Okay. So if you see my eyes jumping around, it's because I'm working with two different cameras. Bear with me. I'm trying to make them as close together as possible without blocking. Okay. All right. So this evening, thank you for coming. As I told everybody, we will be talking about how to minimize your taxable income using the Schedule C strategy and the Schedule E strategy. And let me preference this by saying that I am not a formal tax professional. However, I have been preparing taxes for nearly a little short of 20 years. So I would prepare taxes and assist people, but I'm not a paid tax preparer. So the things that I'm going to share with you tonight, there are things to help you when you're preparing your own taxes for you to know what to look for, things that you can do to minimize your taxable income, like perhaps if you're a W-2 employee and you have your exemptions are very high, so you have a lot of withholding and you end up owing at the end of the year. I'm trying to help you to not owe as much and possibly even get money back if you're accustomed to owing. If you normally get a refund, I'm going to try to help you to get more. Okay? So, now, let me get my notes. All right, so the first thing we need to assess is what is your current situation? Okay? Do you have an existing business? If you do, what type of legal entity is your business? What structure is it? Meaning, is it a corporation? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it an LLC? Just what type of structure is it? Because that's going to determine whether or not you can do what I'm going to tell you about this evening. If you're a corporation, tonight's video is not for you. because when you are a corporation, there is different things you have to do. If you're a sole proprietor, meaning you have the business by yourself, or if you're an LLC and you're a member, you can you can write off your business return through your 1040. The 1040 is your individual tax return. Corporations use an 1120 and 1120F to report their income. All right, so let's first establish that. Now, are you receiving any type of 1099s at the end of the year? Where the box usually says non-employee compensation. If you're receiving that for any reason, this technique definitely can work for you. If you're not receiving 1099 income, I'll tell you some other things that you can do so that you can use this strategy. Okay? Now, the purpose of this video and the reason why it's in this new business builders basics group is because I want people to understand a lot of the perks that come along with owning your own business. And when you do own your own business, if you're already in business, just in case you're not taking advantage of different things that you could, I want to make you aware of those things. Then if you don't have your own business, I'm going to share with you briefly tonight some things that you can do to immediately have your own simple business for the purpose of the tax return and minimizing taxable income. Okay? Why do you need to create your own business? Well, self-employment rates, they're approximately 15%. The income that you make from a small business is going to be taxed at a different rate than your personal income. Now, when you have W-2 income, you have a different scenario because you have your employer is responsible for withholding taxes on your behalf and sending money to the IRS using a 941 quarterly tax return. You pay half of your Medicare and Social Security. You're paying half, your employer is paying half. When you're self-employed, there is no employer, so you pay it all, but it's less though. So what you want to do, you need to create your own business for these type of benefits. We already talked about the type of return that you're going to use. Remember, if you're a corporation, this video is not for you, although you're more than welcome to stay. If you're a corporation, you're going to file your tax return with an 1120 or an 1120F. If you are a sole proprietor and you want, or LLC, anything generally other than a corporation, then you should be able to pull this off through the 1040 tax return. Okay. Now, if you own rental property or get rental income, you're also going to be able to use a Schedule E. The Schedule C and the Schedule E are not really a totally different kind of tax return. It's something that accompanies the 1040 tax return that you all are accustomed to doing each year just for your basic income. So these schedules are going to supplement the 1040. Okay? Now, for those of you that are like, well, I don't have a business right now. I'm nowhere close to having my own business right now. Well, let me tell you ways that you might even be doing business and not even realize it, or you could be doing business just with the change of your thinking about what it is you're doing. So think about what type of things you like to do. If you don't currently feel like you have a business, what are the things that you like to do? Have you ever had any ideas that you wanted to pursue, but you didn't for whatever reason? Think about the hobbies that you have, and if you spend a lot of money on them. Think about things that you've purchased, equipment, gym equipment, different things, golf clubs. Think about things that you've spent a lot of money on, and think about if you own more than one property. If you're sharing your home with a roommate that's paying. So now, what you do is you get creative in these situations. What I'm telling you tonight is not about being fraudulent or lying. It's about using the loopholes and using the system in a way that you make sure that it is actually legitimate. So, I'm going to give you an example about hobbies and something you might spend a lot of money on. Let's say that you invested in a lot of workout equipment because you got this idea you really want to get in shape. So you go out and you buy all this equipment and you set it up in your basement to do it. And in your mind, this is really just for your own purpose. Now, the way you can make that a business is basically now you're a personal trainer in my eyes. That's what I'm going to do for you if I'm telling you how to do your taxes. You're a personal trainer, and if your sister, your mother, a friend, or any random person you're able to provide some services for, and they give you an exchange of cash, you're in business. Now that you're in business, there are some things that you can do. Another example is, let's say that you have a hobby, you really enjoy playing golf. Those who play golf know that it's costly and that nice clubs can be a lot of money. All right, so let's say you just love buying golf clubs and all the latest gadgets that help you know how far your ball is going and all those things. You're going to Top Golf, having a great time. Well, now, if you just adjust a few things, you can actually turn that into you calling yourself a golf instructor, a golf coach. Okay, so now when you're hanging out with your brother-in-law or someone at Top Golf, now all you have to do is make sure during that time you're together, show them some techniques. Let them use your clubs. If they're tall enough, if they fit them, let them use your clubs. Show them a few things. That was a lesson. And now when you get that bill from Top Golf, you're able to write that off as an expense. Okay? If you if you have another property, now you are a property manager, okay? Because you have to spend time managing the property. You have to do maintenance. You have to make sure your tenants, or you're getting tenants in there. If you have not hired a property management company, you're the property manager, okay? That's your business. Even if you're only providing the service to yourself, you're a business, okay? So it's these kind of things where you have to get creative and make it into a business. Now remember, we're not saying that you're doing this, you're creating these businesses to make a lot of money. That's not what this video is. This video is about creatively turning things that you do into a business that can be tax deductible, that gives you the right to file a Schedule C or a Schedule E, which helps to minimize your taxable income as long as you are showing an overall loss. Okay? So part of why I said make sure that you get somebody to pay you or give you something, you want to accept a payment to help make it official. Although you can start up a business and for the whole year not get $1 in income, that's usually, you can pull that off, usually like in your first year of startup. But of course, that's a red flag if you continue to do that year after year, writing off expenses and you have no income. So you do want to make sure that you figure out how to get a few customers, basically. You want to get your customers and you want to get payment. You want to keep track of those payments. And that is what you're going to add to your tax return when you do your Schedule C, okay? So it can be friends, family, you can recruit a few random people, but be careful about trying to make something into a business that requires like a certain license to do that type of business, because then you can run into some liability. The IRS really doesn't get involved in whether or not you have the credentials to do the type of business that you're doing. I've never seen that. I'm not saying that it's not a thing, but I've never seen them be involved in that. But there could be other implications if you are um, doing things for a fee and you don't have the proper certifications or licensure. So be careful with that. But when it's like simple things that you can do, um, yeah, you need to get creative with it. And so once you have established your new business, you're going to be able to deduct the expenses associated with the business. Now, a Schedule C, this is what it looks like, and it's available at irs.gov. A Schedule C, you always want to make sure it's for the current year that you're doing your tax return, and it's 2 pages. Okay, and so the kind of expenses that you can write off are, advertising expense, car and truck expense. Now, when you're doing these creative businesses, you don't ever want to lie. You don't want to put on the line that says advertising that you spent like $300 for advertising and you really didn't. Don't do that. You don't want to do anything that is not correct, like that you can't provide a receipt for, that you actually paid money for that. But some of the things that give you a lot of wiggle room are your car and truck expenses, so your vehicle mileage and things like that, depreciation of assets, like if you're buying furniture. A prime example would be if you figured out a way to get yourself a business, and let's say you're doing a personal trainer route, or a life coach route, something like that. Now, let's say you buy a flat screen television, and it's a big flat screen, and you paid a lot of money for it. Now, as long as that flat screen has the capability to connect to a keyboard of some sort, now that, to me, that's a computer for business. That's a monitor. It's not a TV. That's a monitor. Those things can be written off. Who's going to tell you otherwise? Even if you were audited, as long as you have your receipts, you really did buy that TV, and it can be used in that way. I mean, if you want a 60-inch computer monitor, that's on you, and you write that off. The depreciation is really good because you're not just getting the deduction for what you paid for it, but now they're considering this a part of your tangible assets. Okay? And when you have tangible assets and you take the depreciation from it, meaning the value that it has over time, because different things have different depreciation rates at which they depreciate. Cars have a different way they're calculated than a computer, than a couch. So they're different. You don't want to get into the details of that. But when you use these software programs, a lot of them will do it for you. You just have to kind of know which category to put it in. But you have the issue of the computer monitor. Let's say you bought yourself a cell phone, and now you're using that cell phone for business. Even if you use it for personal use also, a lot of times there will be questions that will ask you the percentage that you're actually like using this thing for business versus personal. It's not a rule that says it can't be used for both, but you don't want to try to make it seem like you only use it for business and try to take like a full deduction for business use. And so let me turn this off right here. I don't want that to be a distraction for you guys. Sorry, I didn't realize that was going. I don't want it to be a distraction. Okay, so the depreciation. So you want to make sure that like you're not trying to say that you're only using it for business, and then it's obvious that you're using it for personal reasons. Same thing with like your vehicle expense. You can actually depreciate a vehicle, and that'll be one of the biggest deductions that you can get, because with the way depreciation works, you can decide to take the full value of that the first year that you report that you have that asset, or you can decide to just take it over the course of years. So you know that, like, if it was a big ticket item, a big purchase, you can take that deduction over the course of years to help shelter your income. If there's a year that's really tough for you, for some reason your exemptions are really high, you owe a whole lot and you really need to bring that down, then you can actually take the full depreciation on the front end and just be done with that. Now you won't be able to do that anymore the following year. Sometimes it's appropriate to do that if you really need to get your taxable income down. So depreciation is a big one. Legal and professional services, if professional services can be considered a consultant. Like if there's someone like me that you paid me to give you some advice about something, that can go under this category as an expense. Office expense is another big one. Let's say you have a home. Let's use the personal training example. Well, this person bought all this gym equipment and they used their basement for it. Well, now they can take a portion of the basement, that square footage, and there's a certain calculation that the software will do for you to say, this is what I use. This is a business use of home. Not the entire home, obviously, but a portion of the home is being used for business, whether it's an office or something like that. And so even if you're living in an apartment and you don't own the home, let's say you have a 2-bedroom apartment and one of the rooms is your office, you need to go ahead and write that off. There's a schedule, that the way that they do it and calculate it, so that you get a bit of credit for that. Repairs and maintenance. If some of your gym equipment malfunctions and you have to pay to get it fixed, that's where you will put this, repairs and maintenance. Okay, supplies. Now you have some of your snacks. You can offer some of your snacks to the people that you're doing personal training with. You're buying reams of paper from Staples. That's like an office supply. Your stapler, your desk, your bookshelf, your file cabinet. If these are things that you've had, even if you didn't buy them in the year that you're claiming this new business, that's fine, because you could have bought it 5 years ago and now you're just deciding now to start a business. When you do decide to write that off as an expense, there's a part on the schedule that asks, when did the item get placed in service? And so it could have been things that you purchased, and as long as you don't double count them, like 1 year you counted that flat screen television, and then the next year you're going to try to count it again, don't do that. But if you bought the flat screen 3 years ago and you're just getting this advice from me now and you decide to attempt this year, write off that flat screen television and just make sure that the year placed in service is the date that you started your business. And on that tax return, there will be a space that will ask, is this your first year in business, or something to that effect? Okay, because they kind of know that your first year in business is going to be the year that you take the biggest hit. Well, really for any business, but believe it or not, like the first 5 years are really considered, you're still in the baby stages of business. But when it's the first, they expect to see a loss in your first year. If you continue to show losses after 5 years, you become an audit risk, because they're going to think your business is not viable. They're going to start looking into things and wonder why they're not getting their cut. But you're usually safe the first couple of years. So those are some of the common expenses. Travels and meals. Be careful there. It's a high audit risk if you put that too high. But you do have some wiggle room there. So hey, it's me and Majesty, and we go out to dinner, and I tell her about my business and how things are going, and I ask her opinion about a few things, and that's it. Now that's a business meeting. That's a business meeting. Yep. So I'm going to write that off. I'm going to keep the receipt that I get, and I'm going to keep it organized, keep it in some type of little file or whatever. I'm going to have that ready just in case. And I'm going to write on the back of the receipt, Majesty and Charity business meeting, talked about her ideas about how I can do my vlog better. You know, make a little note, put it away. If you're ever audited, you have that. And the IRS, they're not going to go and ask the place for camera footage of your meal that you had and they don't want like meeting minutes to show like that you used that whole meeting. No, it's nothing like that. And they even allow you to do a certain amount of entertainment things anyway. You know, so how do you think that some companies are able to take their employees out to eat or pay for vacations and things like that? So you do get a reasonable amount that you can claim, but don't be outlandish with it because then you'll become a high audit risk. Let's see, what else on here on the Schedule C is good? One thing I like about the vehicle mileage situation, so one, you get to write off the vehicle depreciation, meaning what did you pay for that vehicle and how much did it cost you to put it in service for your business? Okay, now you get to depreciate the vehicle, and a vehicle is one of the ones that has a longer life, basically, that holds value. A home is one of the best ones, but a vehicle is a large ticket item too. So the first year that you place your vehicle in service is a great year. You can get the depreciation, but beyond the depreciation, you also can get the mileage. So let's say personal trainer, I drive to a client's house, okay, and I take that client back to the gym, or I take them to another gym, or I take them to a park to practice or do whatever it is that I'm doing with them. That's mileage. It's wear and tear on your vehicle, it's gas money. So they have a way in here where you can, it can be calculated your actual vehicle expenses, or you can do like a standard deduction, which is like they just give you like this general kind of deduction that'll help you out. If you know that you really truly use your vehicle a lot and you do a lot of miles, it may benefit you to do the actual real deduction. But in this case, purposes of this video and what I'm trying to tell you all, the standard deduction probably would be good. And what I like about the vehicle expense is there is a question, number 47A on the Schedule C, that says, do you have evidence to support your deduction? You have the option to check yes or no. Can you guess which one you're going to check? You're going to check no. No. You don't have evidence to support this, but guess what? They still accept it, but you don't want to be too outrageous with it. You want to be mindful. You don't want to do anything that's like not correct. For instance, you try to put that you drove 50,000 miles on your new car for the year, and your car only has like 37,000 miles on it. Don't do stuff like that. You gotta be smart. You gotta think about things and pay attention to detail. So the good thing about this is that if they were to audit you and they want to know about your vehicle expenses, you can simply say, well, I put ahead of time that I don't have the evidence to support this, so you all only gave me credit but for so much. You know, that's what I love about that, and I hope they never take that away, because it gives you a lot of wiggle room for your deductions. Now, so this is called the profit or loss from a business, the Schedule C. That's what that is, and this is part of the magic that people will when I would do their taxes, they would say I was doing magic. You know, they couldn't wait for me to work my magic. Well, it's really not magic. It's really just a valid way of writing off expenses when you figured out how to make the things that you do into a business. Now, the other thing for people that own property, if you let's say you have a second property, even if it's your family that's living in it, draw up a lease for them. Get them to sign it. Keep it on file. Keep track of their rent payments or whatever they might be giving you. And now you have the right to file a Schedule E. Okay? A Schedule E is going to function very similarly to the Schedule C. Okay? But this one is called Supplemental Income and Loss. And this can be from rental real estate, royalties, partnerships, S corporations. So it's not just property, but for property, this is what you would use. And so now you get to write off, let's say your tenants, they call you and they say there's a pipe that burst at the house. And you're like, okay, let me get over there and see what's going on. You get in your vehicle, you drive there, you see what's going on. You call the warranty company that you pay, you pay your premiums for. They come out, you pay the service fee. They tell you how much it's going to be to fix it. You pay for it to be fixed. So basically, all of that is going on here. The mileage, your time, all the money that you spend on warranties and repairs, that's where this will go. Now, the thing about this is you get the best deduction, you get the most out of this if you materially participate. I think is what they call it, meaning that you spend more than a certain amount of hours managing the property, because now they're going to look at it like it is really like a job for you. Okay, not just that you stop by the property like twice a year to make sure things are okay, but that you are actively involved in making sure the property is good. So that's one of those other things where if the IRS were to audit you and come and say, well, how many hours did you spend? You don't have to keep a timesheet on yourself, So that's one of those areas that has wiggle room. And as long as you can say that you did materially participate, let me see what it's called exactly, because I want to tell you. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see it on here. I know it's on here, but I don't want to spend too much time trying to find it while you guys are waiting. Yeah, but basically, it calls you like if you devote a certain amount of time towards managing the property, it's like a threshold. Then you're considered a real estate professional, or it's some kind of language. Don't quote me on that. But now you get this title that now they recognize you as something more formal, and you get more of a deduction. Okay, so I believe that rental income, don't quote me on this, because everything that I'm telling you all, it's really just to get you all thinking critically about the things that you can do. So even if you don't do your own taxes, you can actually consult your tax professional who may have been doing your taxes for years and just politely ask them, hey, you don't have to even get into all the details of like what I'm telling you. You can just take your receipts and take everything and say, if I provide you with these things, can you do a Schedule C for me and a Schedule E? Because I'm going to tell you right now, like H&R Block in a lot of places like that, they're gonna do the simplest, for the most part. They're gonna do the simplest, quickest return. I mean, just like straight up black and white. That's it. It's done. They do it right in front of you. You're done. You end up owing, or you get just a little bit. If they're really good and they care, they're going to ask you questions to see if there's a way that you can get these deductions. But a lot of times they're not going to like get creative. So that's your job. And that's why I'm telling you this. You go ahead and you get creative and you get your documentation together and you ask the person that does your taxes if they can do a Schedule C or E. Now, they may say, I'm not comfortable with that. And that's their right to do so. Because if they are a real tax professional, then they have certain responsibilities because they're signing their name to it and they're saying that I take responsibility for how this tax return was done. So if there's anything that isn't right or, isn't legitimate, they don't want to sign their name to that. And so it is their right if they feel that your story isn't adding up. Okay? But if you take the simple steps I'm telling you about and it's not too outlandish and you have your documentation, I think you'll find that they'll go ahead and they'll give you that credit. The same way that you get your documentation together when you want to itemize, like outside of business, you can either take your standard deduction or you can itemize. If you own a lot of properties, if you had a lot of healthcare expenses, if you had a lot of different deductible expenses in your personal life. We're not talking business. In your personal life. Now, you actually can think it's better for you to take the itemized versus the standard deduction. If the standard deduction ends up being more, you take the standard deduction. So itemizing is when you're finding all the expenses. So now usually the H&R Blocks and places like that, they will at least try to ask you about, did you make any charitable donations, or did you, like that kind of thing. But they're not really getting into the Schedule C and the Schedule E. Not that I've heard. Okay, so did we cover most of this? I did have a copy of the individual 1040 tax return, and that's the one that you all are most familiar with having done. That's for those of you that file your income tax, your personal income tax returns. You've been having your 1040 filed. So remember, when you start this business that you're doing, you're going to get credit for it. You do not have to have a separate tax ID number. You do not have to make a name that's different than your own personal legal name. You don't have to do any of that. Now, if you do want a separate tax identification number, you can apply for one. You can give it a name and put that name on file with the state. That's when you're really starting to get serious about it and you're like, wait, this is like, I really can make some money off of this. So let me do these things. Also, if you have anybody working for you with your business, now if you're giving out pay to someone else, that's a game changer, and it gets more complicated because now you have to apply for an employer identification number, the Federal Employer Identification Number, FEIN. And when you do that, now you also have to box yourself into a category that the IRS recognizes. They have choices for you, and you have to figure out where you best fit. And that's called, it's a federal code of some sort. It goes at the top right here. So they already have their categories, and there's a corresponding number that goes with the category. So you have to figure out what category best fits the business that you're doing. Now, the reason they have that coding system, and the reason why, if I were you, I wouldn't get into getting a tax ID number and getting a business name. Just keep it, you can leave that blank on the Schedule C. Because once you do that federal code thing, that they use their analytics to look at trends of what other people in your same category, trends within your category. And if what you're doing becomes an outlier from the norm, like for those of you that might know about stats, like the normal distribution curve, if you're not somewhere on that hump, which is considered pretty average, if you're all the way on one of the other sides, that's called an outlier, that could flag you for audit. I will say in the almost 20 years that I've been helping people with their taxes, um, none of the people, to my knowledge, have been audited. And I had a lot of repeat customers. There are people where I did their taxes for like the last 18, 17, 16 years, and they were never audited. There was one time where I had a data entry error. I think I inverted two numbers or something, and it made it very outlandish and very crazy. It was like on the person's W-2, and they got audited for that, and then it was corrected. But it wasn't because of the, creativity and the magic, that I work with these taxes. So if you do it carefully, if you are legit with it, this is a very good way. And I'll just give you some examples. I had a couple, they would have owed probably close to, I'll round it off to like $15,000. By the time I finished their Schedule C and their Schedule E, they were getting back like $8,000. They went from owing approximately 15,000 to getting back like 8,000. That's why people say I work magic. So it's not magic, and that's why I want to share it with you. It's really fairly simple. So I will open this up now for questions. I'll take questions about this particular topic, and I did tell people from yesterday if they had any type of question that I make myself available to answer any business related questions. So I'll go ahead, and I see there are about 4 people that are watching on my personal page, and I don't see the number of people on the group page. In fact, I don't see any comments. I think I may have done something wrong in the group. So what I'll have to end up doing is sharing the personal video on the group page. So are there any questions, comments? I'll give you all an opportunity to type in something. Accounting and tax is very boring to me. I don't enjoy it. In fact, I actually stopped helping people with their taxes a couple of years ago when I started school, because it was just, with school, it was too overwhelming. But I really don't enjoy it. But I I always stuck with it because the couple of times that I branched out to try to let like H&R Block or somebody else do them, they didn't take the time to work things out in my best interest. At least it didn't seem that way based on the dollars. All right, well, I see people are still watching. I don't see questions popping up, but it may be a delay, so I'm still going to give it a little bit of time. Questions. I know the topic last night, I'm basically choosing topics based on whatever information I get on the given day. So yesterday's topic was about opening up a child care center and the pros and cons. That was a request by someone. Today I was talking with someone about taxes briefly, and they had a couple of questions about how to do a couple of things, and I told them they should tune in here because I'd be willing to answer those questions. So I realize it is tax season. It's not over yet. So this video might actually, most people have already been there, done that. Sorry I didn't do this sooner. Maybe next year you can apply these things. But the topic's basically whatever people inbox me or text me or comes to mind, though, that's what I'll pretty much be talking about, as long as it's in the realm of business, education, wealth management, finance. I'm happy to share what I know. Hey, Karina. We just finished up the tax discussion, and I'm allowing questions. And I don't think anyone has questions. Hey, Toya. I'm still going to wait. Might as well. Might have some latecomers. Hi, all. Thank you. Thank you. I've been trying to make sure that I spend a little time with self-care. One of my best friends, she has been putting me back in touch with my feminine side and making sure that I remember that I'm still a lady, basically, and not just a boss running around looking crazy. But thank you so much. Yeah, so Madge, ask them questions. Now, they may want to try to charge you more. They might want to charge you more if they do a Schedule C or a Schedule E, because fair enough, it is more work for them. If, I mean, depending, like if you have like 4 properties and you and your husband are trying to have separate Schedule Cs, then that's a lot more work. So they may want to charge you more, but they shouldn't hit your head though. But really, if they show you the results, if whatever they're charging will probably be really worth it. All the information was great. Oh, no problem. Thank you for tuning in, and I will definitely be going live. I may be going live almost every day. The reason why I'll be cramming it in is because I have time off from school right now. So I will definitely be happy to do as many videos as I can on the front end, but I'm going to always keep the group going, and I hope that it grows. So tell your friends, tell anybody who has questions about business or people. I'm here. All right, well, I think that might be it. Um, what is the biggest misconception about entrepreneurship? I think the big one of the biggest. No, no, that's fine. Actually, after the main topic is over, I welcome Q&A of any type that's business related. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that it's it's sexy. Like it's glorified. Um People think that just because you're an entrepreneur that you might have money. Um People think that people don't understand the concept of some people don't understand the concept of gross income versus net income. So you can be pulling in, you can gross over $1 million. Sounds impressive to some people, right? But if you're paying out 979,000 in expenses, then you know that's not really that attractive. It actually, the person who makes the person who nets 150,000 at their job seem like they have an easier life and they get more money than you. So I think a lot of times people feel like entrepreneurship guarantees you this financial freedom. I like questions. It's fun. It makes it fun. You want to stay on here? I don't know what I did wrong with with this group. Yeah, it's true, right? You people have those assumptions. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're making this worth my while. By the way, Karina she tuned in last night as well. She is a powerhouse woman who I met at the Women Presidents Organization. It's a professional group of women who they either are presidents, executives, or own $1 million and multi-million-dollar companies. And it was a real eye opener for me about the goals that I needed to set for myself. Basically, getting over this idea of being hood rich and trying to get to the next level, because there is a next level. That's what that organization showed me. Show the heart. All right, let's see. How do you think we as a community, both minority and women, could support each other more? Hold on, let me see. It says see more. Support each other more. You do such an incredible job of giving shout outs. Oh, well, thank you. I don't know if I was always really that great with it, but I learned over the years you give honor where honor is due. How can we better support one another as women? Hold on one second. As women and minorities. Okay, so I think that we need to use each other's businesses. One thing I noticed is that we kind of expect more favors from our minority businesses, our brothers and sisters, our female associates. It's like there's a lack of respect that minority businesses get compared to, I mean, they expect to be able to treat your establishment or your service like it's not that serious. And so I think, or if like if they have to pay full price, they're just going to go use another company. If your price comes anywhere close to, you know, another more reputable company, they're going to go with that company. They'll only come to you if you're giving them the discounted child care or the discounted assisted living or the discounted um, 5-star cleaning service, you know. So I think showing more respect, also showing trust, because I know in my community it seems like African Americans in particular have a general distrust of black businesses. You kind of look sideways and you second guess. I don't know what it is. It's almost like it's just been ingrained in minorities that you second guess the people that are figuring it out and figuring out how to make money. And I don't know if it's the resentment or just a natural lack of trust that minorities seem to have for one another. So I think we need to support one another by utilizing the services of the people and referring people to these businesses. Let's see. Your post today was inspired by me. I'll have to check that out. I'll go to your page. Sounds like a great organization. Is there more info in the group about it? How can I support you and your businesses? Well, for me, right now, the stage I'm in with my businesses, everybody doesn't fit into it. Everyone's not in a position where they even need the service. So, you know, you don't have to feel compelled to like for instance, if you need childcare, but you live, you know, like all the way in Virginia, I would never expect that you would like bring your children to Perfect Angels all the way in Clinton, Maryland. You know, like let's be reasonable. I would understand that. We all need to be reasonable with each other. Don't think that because someone hasn't used your service that they're hating on you or they don't want to support you. But I think helping to promote, you know, is a good thing. Marketing and promoting is always a good thing. I think someone said, well, sounds like a great organization. That was Rochelle. When you say organization, I'm not sure if you're referring to the businesses that I do or the concept of this group that I'm creating. But the group, I will put information in the group, most of the information in the group and most of my activity will be interactive, like me going live and basically making myself available to people because um, time is, oh yeah, the women's organization, absolutely, yeah, and I'll tell you why in 1 second. Um, I think, hold on here, reviews and recommendations on Facebook page, yeah, um, but it should be. I think people should earn the support that they get. I don't think that someone should say things that they really can't stand behind or say things that they haven't experienced your service, so they can't really speak to it, or they might know that your service is has some areas for improvement. So you don't want anybody to go and recommend or do reviews if they don't really um, know what you're all about. But if you feel like you know what the owner stands for and you know that they're struggling or they're trying to get to the next level, you want to try to support them because you know them, then I can say that as well. But like I would say, for instance, if you have never had your child at Perfect Angels, but you know me closely and you know what I stand for, your review, because say in my discussions with the owner, she is very passionate and wants the best for the children. She's always trying her hardest to find the best staff, blah blah blah. That's all truth, right? So you're not going to get on there and say this place is the best place ever because if if your child hasn't been there, then so I'm all about being authentic. And also reviews, keep it real in reviews too, because you can say, let's say your child did go there and it wasn't the greatest experience for you. You have some good things, but there was some room for improvement. Then your review could respectfully communicate that, But one thing about reviews, I feel like people should give you the opportunity while they're still your customer to try to um, satisfy them. Sometimes, and I've experienced this so much doing the hospitality industry, you'll have someone that stays in one of your places and you don't hear from them. You might even walk past them a couple of times or see them. They don't say anything and then they leave and they write they give you a less than favorable review, and there were simple things you could have done, to like solve the problem. Like, oh, it was too cold in the house. Well, I could have turned the heat up, but I didn't know you were cold. Simple things like that. I really think people deserve the opportunity to, improve the service. Because reviews, we live in a world full of reviews, and I have mixed feelings about it. It kind of gets on my nerve because a lot of people do the most. A lot of people are extra, and sometimes their motivation is not proper when they're reviewing your business. They have another agenda. Let's see. So the Women Presidents Organization. Yes, that's a great organization. Um, I found out about it. My son went to a high school where most of the people there were affluent, and it was the night of the Mayweather fight, I want to say. I took him over to his friend's house to watch the fight, and because it was so far away, they welcomed me to stay upstairs with the parents while the children were downstairs having their little party or whatever. And I got to talking to the mother, and I just really like connected with her and everything. Her name is Tabitha. Her son, his name is Miles, and they're a really nice family, very progressive. And I was telling her about certain things. And the overall point that I was making to her is that I feel like an alien sometimes. I feel like I don't belong or fit um, in most environments that I place myself in. Not from a real social standpoint, but when it comes to talking about ideas and business and going hard, it's kind of like I'm not connecting with a lot of people. They lose interest. They don't, or like they look at me like I'm crazy or that I'm manic, or it has to be some kind of pathology behind it. And so I was explaining that to her, and she was saying, you need to join this organization. And she told me about it, and she said, a lot of people feel like you. And when you get to a point where you start making more money and you start leveling up, the higher you go, it can start to feel alienating. Not because you think you're better than people. Some people might be like that, but I'm the kind of person where I'm always on people's case because I'm trying to, like, if I feel like I've leveled up, and in my opinion, I feel like that person should level up, I want to try to help them. But a lot of times, people who you are helping, they may not want your help. They may not feel like you're in a position to help them. They may not have the same goals or aspire to what you aspire to. And so, um, I think that being a part of an organization where other people think similarly, because the mind of an entrepreneur, like if you're like born a boss, like the movie Boss Baby. I don't know if you all saw it, but I saw it and I thought it was cute because at the beginning of the movie, it showed how out of all the babies that were being produced, you had some, most of them were going in one direction, but then you had some, the minority, a few of them were going in another direction because they had traits that just showed their boss, their boss. So the Boss Baby movie was cute because I kind of feel like that's a trait that people have, but I also feel like you can learn leadership skills. You can learn how to make money and some of those things I feel like can be learned. Some people don't believe that, but I want to believe it. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't have this group right now. I think people can be groomed to level up and get out of their own way. And so that group is really good because it helps me to stay grounded because I feel like there's like levels to it basically. And I'm never going to stop because I always feel like no matter how much money I make, no matter how many businesses I start, and of course there are failures too, but as you're like progressively climbing, you just feel like there's always more. There's always more. So you just want to just keep going. And some people feel like that's an attitude of being insatiable, like you're never satisfied. Nothing is ever good enough. You need to appreciate what you have. Don't get caught up in materialism and money. And when people start talking that way, especially a lot of people that are really deeply into their religious beliefs, somehow we've been programmed to think it's wrong to want to make money. So the Women Presidents organization has been great. It has been a real motivator. All right, Madge. Good night, Madge. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Unfortunately, jealousy is a big factor in the support of other. Absolutely, jealousy is a big factor in the support of other Black businesses. I have found. Hold on here. Bear with me, guys. I have found that when someone finds out you're running a business or interested in starting a business, there is a lot of negative comments or feelings towards it. And it's unfortunate because the only way our race will succeed and be more successful as a whole is if we support each other. And that's true. Hey, my cousin Leilani's in there. Hey, Leilani, how you doing? I hope you're well. So how can we change this? Well, let me talk about the jealousy issue. I think it exists. I do, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit. Um, there were times where I would be so motivated or determined to get to a certain level or to accomplish a certain goal, and I feel like I got it going on. And if somebody opposes me or if somebody gives me a certain energy, I might have been quick to think, oh, they hating. What I realized is that sometimes I was being a jerk. Like sometimes I was being a jerk. Sometimes I was actually putting out a certain energy and I was getting that energy back. And instead of taking responsibility for the less than desirable personality traits that I have, I could easily write it off and say, oh, they hating or they're jealous. So I try to be careful when I talk about jealousy because when you think that someone is jealous, you're technically getting in their head, and you're kind of like mind reading almost, which is impossible. You can only go with what you truly feel, and feelings are fleeting. So I try to the jealousy topic is difficult for me, because when do you know if a person is truly jealous of you, or you know has some other motives or something else? Maybe it's just they don't really like you, they don't rock with you like that or something, you know what I mean? But I definitely believe what you're saying. It exists. I know it does. It's just, difficult to kind of prove that. And how can we change it? Changing haters. Most people are coming from a place of pain when they behave that way. So, in order to stop hate, we would have to put people in a position from a very young age to understand love, and to feel acceptance and nurturance and safety. And when children lack those things, they grow up with complexes or flaws and things that get ingrained in the way they operate, in their coping skills. Now they're an adult, and those things don't work anymore. But a lot of times they don't know how to change those things. So you end up, being a miserable person, and you don't know what to do about it. You don't know how to change your stature in life. You don't, you, it's difficult. So to change the way people hate on each other with regard to anything, and even in business it applies, is you have to get to the root of the pain that the person is in. Because I don't think anybody wakes up and intentionally wants to feel envy or feel jealousy. It's not a pleasant experience. So I don't think people even want to be that way, but they have these feelings, don't know what to do with them, and so they sometimes will seek to sabotage others that have what they want, or they perceive have what they want. Because half the time people thinking they want your life, and they don't even know you have your own pain. Excuse me, I'm gonna have a drink. But I think having a conversation, building people up, I get a better response from people when the energy I put out, like just like what Karina was saying earlier. It's like, oh, you're so good with giving compliments. I forgot exactly how she said it. And I'm thinking that that's actually something that I had to work on. I hate to admit it. That's something I had to work on, to actually get out of myself and my world, what I have going on, and pat myself on the back, and actually take a moment to compliment someone else, or recognize what someone else is doing. And, just because I might be an overachiever in certain areas, and it looks like I'm ignoring the accomplishment of someone else because maybe I feel like it pales in comparison to what I'm doing, like that kind of attitude has to go. Because when you treat people that way, that encourages a spirit of insecurity and jealousy and hate as well. To me, there's a difference between jealousy and hate and jealousy. Let me make sure I didn't skip anyone's comment before that. Okay, hold on. Rochelle said, Karina, now perhaps show them, hold on here, perhaps show them how to become an entrepreneur, so they can see that the opportunity is open to everyone to pursue. Then they may possibly change their thought process of why they were envious, when all the time it's out there for them to grab as well. That is part of this group. That is part of the spirit for starting this group. Because when people come to me and they ask me how to do something, or how did I do this, or how did I do that, I'm not one of those people where I'm like, I don't have time for that. Or nope, because only I want the secret to success. Oh, you want to start a daycare? No, I'm not telling you how. Why would I do that? I own a daycare. I don't want you to be my competition. See, I don't think that way. And I feel like when you do try to spread the knowledge and help people, that can solve some of that problem. But it won't solve all of the problem because some people don't want the solutions. Some people don't feel worthy enough where they don't feel like they have what it takes to do what you do. Or they've convinced themselves they don't want to do what you do. Or they're genuine in thinking they don't want to do what you do. And so that jealousy, you just don't really, it, it would take a lot of effort, basically. I just feel like loving people, holding people up, providing information and knowledge, I think that's the way to connect with people, and to try to pull them out of that. And let's face it, everyone's not capable of the same things. People are born with different capacity for different things. People have propensity towards different things. Um, Everyone doesn't have the resources or emotional fortitude, the family support. I mean, there are a lot of people that feel like their position in life is one that there's nothing that anyone can do about it, and they feel like no one can change it. And so they don't even want to begin to think about how to get out of that situation, and they just stew in the misery and the jealousy. And even if you were to try to lead them to water, they would die of thirst before they would drink. There are some people that are like that, and some people that would actually think you're looking down on them to feel like your way is the best way. Like what you're doing and what you're suggesting for them, what makes you think you're in the position to tell me what's best for my life? A lot of people think that way. All right, so let's see. To me, there's a difference between jealousy and hating. Jealousy is when someone is truly mad that they were not able to do what you are able to do. Did not, or they did not have the resources to do it, or they didn't have the forethought to do it. They give you reasons why you shouldn't do it instead of more encouragement. You stated earlier how, because if you are a black owned business, others expect you to give them discounts or should be cheaper, not understanding that because you are a minority business or you have less employees, your overhead may be larger, and that you have to charge what you charge because this is your business. Yep. To me, the only way that this occurrence in our community will stop is if everyone has an aha moment and realize that we are all talented, we all bring something to the table, and the wealth can be spread across the board if we support each other. That's right. And that's pretty much what I was just saying. Some people feel like they can't do certain things. And we may not all be capable of the same things, but we all have a role that we can play, and people can be in their lane and rock their lane, basically. Yeah, the fear about asking questions. Self love is very important. Self love. Let's see, so many people are afraid to ask me questions in fear that I will think they are competing. My passion is to help others any way I can, right? A lot of people won't believe that because, I mean, let's face it, Karina, you're beautiful, you're stylish, you have money, you have children, a husband. I mean, most people are thinking like this is the American dream. She has that. She doesn't really, she's not genuine in really wanting to help anybody because it's just like you appear to be this perfect person, and they just couldn't imagine that you could also be a beautiful spirit, and not just beautiful on the outside, but that you can have all those things and still be a beautiful person. But for them to believe that, they would have to darn near place you on a pedestal. And people are not about putting you on pedestals. People are about knocking you off pedestals. So when you're out here trying to help people, most of the time they don't believe that's what you're really trying to do. Some people are complacent with being miserable and not having the wherewithal and hunger to want more for themselves, but mad when others are go-getters. Yeah, it's true. Um, it takes a lot, to get out here and be in business and deal with certain things, it takes an incredible amount of strength and I'm not saying that everyone that does it is doing it well, and I've had my fair share of mistakes and failures in business, but it is hard, and that's why more people aren't doing it. Let's just face it. You can give people all the information in the world, but I'm gonna tell you what, and I don't want to discourage anyone in the group, but a lot of the times the people that are going to be successful don't even, I want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing because I don't want to be offensive, but a lot of times, like, people who are going to be successful, they go out and get what they need without anyone really having to tell them. I mean, of course, they might learn from others and glean from others, but they're like a go getter naturally, and so they don't have to wait on anyone to tell them how to get the job done. Let's see. Let's see, someone wants to join? Sure. Okay. Many more failures than success. Oh my goodness, that's the part people don't see. Part of the misconception thing I'm telling you about. It's not always sexy. So many failures. So many your net worth can be high, but you actually could be house poor. You know, you could be paying a lot of your money into mortgages and you own the homes, and that's great, but you could, like, not always have that cash flow that people might think that you have, you know. Um, it is not always glorious. Every idea that you come up with, and people, I don't even share half of the ideas that I have in my mind with people because then they will really think I'm crazy. But of the ideas that I do share, I might start on that path and then, like, never mind, or that didn't work out. And it's a lot of failures. And yes, no one sees the nights where you're crying. They don't, some people don't see the sacrifice. They don't understand the legal battles, the issues with staff. The struggle is real. It is. It is. And this is why I think the people that choose to get out here and be bosses, they are just, I really feel like they're cut from a different cloth. That is not to say they are better people than others, but in that particular lane, they're different. They're cut from a different cloth. Oh, yes, the nights and the days you don't see your children. I'm going to definitely devote an evening to discussing being a mom boss, because we're living in a world right now that people will judge your motherhood based on a lot of traditional roles. People will, I have a lot of views on that, but yes, it's a huge sacrifice. Now, I don't want to leave the men out, but I'm not going to do a live stream about dad boss. I'm not going to do a live stream about that because that is, people already have let men off the hook by looking at them as the breadwinners and the providers. So they don't really get told they're not good dads when they're working late hours, or if they have to be away from their children, or they're not cooking dinner or that kind of thing. But when you're a woman, when you're a mom boss, people will tear you down, even if they don't say it to your face. The kind of things that people will say, even the things you tell yourself. Yep, so much guilt. Yeah, even the things that you tell yourself. We right on the same page. Yes. Let's see, 12 plus hours. Yep. He begged you not to leave. He said, I never see you in the morning, and you just walked in for bedtime. And so much guilt. It is something I struggle with daily. Mom guilt, and really balancing the work and home life. So that's going to be another. My mother suggested that I do a topic on work-life balance, and I said, Mom, honestly, in the beginning of building a business, there's no such thing. I can talk about the myth of work-life balance when you're a boss, but it's really the way that you have to go hard when you're in the trenches. There is no balance. I'm just gonna keep it real. There is no balance. So when you have that mom guilt and your child says, "Mom, it's like you're working all the time or you're never home," I really keep it real with my children. I just talk to them and I tell them what mommy does. A lot of it is for you. It's for you and your future, and to make sure that you can have the things that you want and need, and to set a good example of how hard you might need to work to have these things. I just try to talk to them. You know what I mean? You have to really like let them know, because children are smarter than you think. So if you have regular conversations with them about how your absence at times, or you're being busy and inattentive at times, is really let them know that they're on your mind and they're in your heart no matter where you are, because what you're doing is you're building something, so there's a legacy, so that they, especially if you're a minority and you're from a people where generational wealth is like non-existent. It's a concept people don't understand. When you're in those kind of situations and people in your circle are looking at you like, oh, she ain't no kind of mother, she puts business before her children, it's real hard, because they don't understand that you are changing the trajectory for your offspring. That's why my company is called Progeny, because it is about your fruit. It is about your offspring. If that's what it's all about. I'm working real hard right now, and I don't know that I'm going to really see the benefit of these houses being paid for and certain things. I don't think I'll benefit in my lifetime, but I know that if they do the right things, they will have a much higher platform to spring from. And I think each generation it should get better and better. So you have these talks with your children so that they know, you know, they actually begin to respect your hustle. But you do have to take the time sometimes to, you have to sacrifice a few business deals or let some money go, or every opportunity you can't take, because there are times where despite what you tell them, those children, they do need to feel love. The babies have to feel the love. Let's see. So these are set up for comeback. Yep. Seems you can learn. Yep. My first corporation is Progeny Enterprises, which is still an active corporation, but the new direction I'm going in with my new endeavors, they are going to be under a new company called Resurge Enterprises, and it's like resurgent because it's basically like I had to kind of drop down low to a low point, and then to really be able to see what I need to do to get to the next level. So I'm resurging. It's like I'm back, basically. Like like it's not over. I'm back. So failures are a setup for a comeback. If you can learn from your mistakes, that is the best tool that you will have. And if you learn how to learn from other people's mistakes, that's even better. That's another purpose for this channel. I'm not here to tell you that I'm going to tell you exactly how I did things and that's what you should do. I'm more so going to be sharing with you what I did wrong and why I know not to do it that way, and I can advise you to do it differently. And so a lot of the things I'll be sharing are my failures and experience with doing the wrong thing, which led me to see what the right thing is. And if you guys would extend a little bit of trust, you can take my word for it and avoid some of those pitfalls. One of the hardest things being a mom and trying to live up to your dreams is the hardest. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. Being in business, a lot of it is about my children. I say the bulk of working this hard is about my children. But there's still something in me that truly enjoys the hustle. It may sound strange, but it's something in me that I enjoy going hard. I enjoy figuring out ways to create and produce and to go from nothing to something, and then all of a sudden there's cash flowing. It can be almost addictive. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that when you see that you went from having a thought, an idea, to taking action, to something manifesting, and now cash money's in your hand, or money's going in your bank, or cash apps are coming in, or I mean, it's I love it. I love it, and I don't think I'd ever give it up, even if I didn't have to work or do those things. Mom bosses are some of the most inspirational people ever. Laying the ground for generational wealth. Yes, we need to do that. Yep. Yeah. Yep. My mom worked very hard also to provide. Sometimes self-guilt is the worst. Yep. This is the first live I can appreciate. Thank you. Yeah, everyone going live these days. And sometimes people not talking about anything of any substance. But there's something for everyone. Yeah, the hustle and the benefits give me a high. Nothing else can. Yep. Yep. Sure, this was great. Thank you for sharing. Oh, no problem. I really enjoyed this. I'm shocked at the level of participation. I didn't really think anyone was going to be interested, because it seems like more intelligent discussions or serious discussions don't really pop. More of the attention goes to the people that are doing things that I feel are ignorant or ridiculous. So it's not entertaining people. Who wants to sit and listen to me talk about taxes? Somebody who want to make some money, that's who. But yeah, like people like the drama. If I was on here right now talking about, let's say I was talking about marital problems, or or I was beefing with somebody else and putting them on blast on social media, we would have probably like 100 people viewing. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was in my car, like, yeah, I'm about to go to this girl house, and I know my man over there. I'm gonna knock on the door, and I got the phone with me, and I'm going live. I would have like so many viewers right now. It wouldn't make any sense. So I appreciate you all for hanging in here. And like I said, I'll be doing it very frequently so that I can get the topics out while I have time in a break from school. And then it'll slow down a little bit. But let me know what you all want to talk about. If you're not in the group, get in the group. Send me like an inbox or whatever, and I'll talk about the topics that you all want to hear. Okay, if we have new people coming into the group, I'm here. I'll stay for questions. Not a problem. I'm a night owl. So, but bye everyone. Thanks, Rochelle, for tuning in. I appreciate your input and support. I think, who was that I just missed that came in? Yeah, you get some rest, Rochelle. Don't let us keep you up, girl. Family business. You should talk about how to work with family. Well, I can talk about how difficult it is to work with family. I can talk about that. I can talk about how important it is to learn how to work with family. What I cannot do is tell you that I have figured it out 100%. But we can surely talk about it. That definitely can be a topic. See, that's kind of like, I'm going to just bring you my perspective, my point of view. So I won't act like I'm an expert on everything or have everything figured out. And no, I have not figured out how to work with family. I mean, I've made do, but if we all were to get together in a room, and you ask us, do you all work together harmoniously all the time? The answer would be no. I mean, it's a lot of, and plus because of, they call me Master Barrett, because they say I'm a slave driver. They say I work them hard and all of this. My expectations are high, so yeah. Financing your business, okay. Let me make sure I didn't skip anybody. Yeah, financing your business. That definitely needs to be like a separate live stream where I get together my thoughts and organize my notes and talk about that, because there are a lot of ways that can be done. But overall, like I told people yesterday, I had really like no money when I started. I didn't really have any capital, not not cash, but I had resources. And last night I had categorized capital and resources. Was capital was one type of resource, but knowledge, there were other things that I listed basically. But I don't know if you say minority business opportunities. Yeah, like I don't know of any um, agencies or like the myth of the small business administration loan. Those things never worked out for me. I don't think I even know anybody that's ever gotten a small business loan. So I will definitely pull together a topic about how to get creative in finding the resources that you need. So let's not always think about money or cash. We're going to expand our minds to think about other resources and ways that you can generate um, the capital that you need. I definitely need to make note of that, because I think that's one of the things most people think is keeping them out of business is that they don't have the money. Um, another thing that keeps people out of business is their good government job or their 9 to 5. And I know there are a lot of people who want to figure out how to hang on to their safety net and venture out into self-employment. And there are ways that you can do that, but I'll be honest, for those that are really trying to build a business that's going to sustain, a lot of times you got to quit your day job. Oh, I appreciate that, Althea. That would be great. That would be really good. Good government job. Hey, well, you know what? I haven't heard people talking that way ever since that, what, 2 month furlough. I haven't heard people bragging about their government jobs as much. I was unaffected during the furlough, and that just was a reminder that my struggle and my sacrifice is worth it, because I didn't have those kind of struggles. I didn't want to make other people feel bad that they may have been struggling, but I was so happy and thankful, and it reinforced why I need to stay on the path that I'm on, so that I won't have those particular struggles. That's an old saying. Yep. So we got any more comments coming through? I think it's really nice. Social media is crazy. Can you remember the days where we didn't even have cell phones? Like it's hard for me to even remember those days, but I know they existed. But social media is amazing. It really helps you to be able to connect with people, and if it's used properly, oh God, it's like the sky is the limit, and it makes doing business so much easier. That's why I really encourage people to to take advantage of the resources and the things that you have now that people didn't have back in the day to start a business. I mean, there's so many things now that make it easy, but I love social media when it's put to good use. I can't believe I'm actually doing this because I'm the person who talks trash about everybody going live, thinking that everybody thinks their life is so interesting that they should be going live all the time. I'm the person who sits back and in my mind judges like that. So the fact that I decided to go live like this and develop a channel, I'm kind of like, uh-oh, I've turned over to the other side. What would you say should be your very first step when starting a business? Ask yourself, ask yourself, why do you want to start your own business? And process those answers, sit with those answers, and make sure you know why you're doing it. That's the first step, in my opinion. Research. You weren't here yesterday, Althea. I don't think you were here last night. But the steps to starting a child care center, I have created a little simple model. And the first one was the research component, information gathering. Then it's the exploration stage. Then it's the feasibility analysis and figuring out your resources. Yep, research. Now I'm going to tell you that's a barrier for people because people don't like reading anymore, if they ever did. People don't like reading. I find that the average person's attention to detail is not great. Executive functioning skills, dealing with the brain and the frontal lobe, and your ability to organize, like to strategize, execute step 1, step 2, step 3, and do those things. That's executive functioning, and a lot of people are lacking those skills. But my research, I'm realizing why people are lacking those skills more and more, and it has a lot to do with what's happening prenatally, perinatally, and in the early years of childhood. Oh, I adore you too, and we have got to get together, girl. We've got to. Yeah, I'll try to figure out what to talk about tomorrow. So what did we agree we should talk about tomorrow? Are we going to do the maybe the resources issue of starting a business? Is that what I should do? Drinks. Yes. Yes. Yes, drinks. Yes. That would be great. So yeah, I'll do probably the resources or see what kind of feedback I get. Mom guilt. Okay. Yeah, mom guilt. I might be a little biased. I might even bust out crying. I don't want to get emotional, but yeah, mom guilt. We can do mom guilt. We can do mom guilt tomorrow. All right. Mom guilt it is. All right. Was 9 o'clock a good time for you guys? Enough time for the kids to eat and go to bed if you have kids or whatever you do. 9 good. Okay, unless I hear otherwise, we're going to shoot for 9 tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. It's been great. I'll see you guys tomorrow.